You've had the experience. You decide something clearly. This time you're going to do it differently. You're going to stop the thing, start the other thing, hold the line, and you mean it. That's the part worth pausing on. You genuinely mean it. Then 3 weeks go by, or 3 days, and you're back exactly where you were. And the strange part isn't failure. The strange part is it didn't take a decision. It didn't feel like a decision. There wasn't a moment where you chose to go back. It just happened. You slid. So here's the question. If you wanted it and nothing stopped you, why didn't it happen? The usual answer is willpower. You didn't want it enough. You lacked discipline. I want to put that aside, not because effort doesn't matter, but because that explanation doesn't fit the evidence. The evidence is that people with enormous discipline in one part of their life completely fail in another. The person who trains at 5 a.m, for example, without exception, cannot make themselves have one difficult conversation. That's not a willpower shortage. Willpower is clearly available. It's just not working here. So something else is going on. Here's what I think it is. The thing you're trying to change is doing a job, not the job you'd name, something underneath it. Every pattern you've held for years is load-bearing. It's holding on to something it got installed for a reason, usually a long time ago, usually when it was the best available solution to a real problem at that time. And it stayed with you because it worked. So when you try to remove it, you're not removing a bad habit. You're pulling out a support. And something in you knows that. Something in you can feel what it's resting on. That's what the resistance is. It isn't laziness. It isn't weakness. It's a part of you doing exactly what it's supposed to. Protecting a structure from a change it hasn't been shown is safe. Let me make it concrete. Say you want to stop over communicating. Stop saying yes to everything. You know it's costing you. You decide no more. And you hold it for a while. Then someone asks you to do something, and you hear yourself say yes, and you don't even notice it until afterward. Here's the question nobody asks. What is the yes holding up? Maybe it's holding up a sense that you're useful, that people need you. Maybe it's holding up an arrangement where you've never had to find out whether people would still wait around if you weren't the one who always helps. Say no consistently and you'd find out. That's not a small change. It's a load-bearing wall. And now the failure makes sense. You weren't undisciplined. You were declining to demolish something that you were still standing under. This is why the advice usually doesn't work. Most of what we're told about change is technique, systems, habits, tracking, accountability. And technique is fine. It works beautifully when the thing you're changing isn't holding anything up. Small stuff, genuine preferences, things you're indifferent to, you can change those with a checklist. But if you tried the same change 5 times and slid back 5 times, that's information. That's not a technique problem. 5 failures means the thing is structural. You're trying to solve a load-bearing problem with a scheduling app. Now here's where this leaves you, and it's probably not where you wanted it to go. The question isn't, how do I make myself do this? The question is, what's this holding up? That's a different kind of question. It doesn't have a technique attached. You can't schedule it. It asks you to look at what your pattern is protecting, and to be honest, that there's probably a reason you haven't looked yet. Because the answer isn't flattering. It's usually something like, I need to be needed. I don't know who I am if I'm not the competent one. I've never tested whether I'd be loved without this. That's what's underneath. That's why the change won't take. And notice, you already know which one is yours. You knew before I finished the sentence. That's the part I'd sit with. Not that you don't know, that you do, and you've been careful not to look directly at it. No, I'm not going to tell you that seeing it fixes it. It doesn't. But it changes what you're working on. You stop trying to force a behavior that's holding up a wall, and you start asking what would need to be true for the wall to come down safely. What would have to be built first? That's slower, and it's also the only version that holds. The failures weren't evidence that you're weak. They were evidence that something real is there. You were feeling the weight of it. You just didn't know that that's what you were feeling.